You're staring at your bank account. $100,000. Not $1,000. Not $10,000. $100,000. For years, that number existed only in your imagination. You thought reaching it would feel like winning the lottery, like everything would suddenly change, like you would finally feel rich. But now, you're actually there, and something strange happens. You don't feel rich, you just stare at the screen, because somehow, the number you've spent years chasing doesn't feel real. It all started with something much smaller. Your first $100. You probably remember how different it felt. When you had almost nothing, $100 felt enormous. You could buy something you've wanted, go somewhere, upgrade something, or simply keep it. And when you finally saved your first $100, you felt proud, because it wasn't really about the money. It was proof. Proof that you could actually save. Then you reached $500, then $1,000, and suddenly, something changed. You stopped thinking about what $1,000 could buy. You started thinking about how long it could stay in your account. Eventually, you reach $10,000, and this feels different. For the first time, you have a serious safety cushion. A bad month doesn't immediately destroy you. An unexpected expense doesn't feel like the end of the world. You open your bank account and see 5 digits. You close it, then open it again. Just to make sure, $10,000. You feel proud. But you also realize something. The first $10,000 was incredibly difficult, and the next $90,000 feels impossibly far away. So you keep going. Now saving becomes part of your life. You start thinking differently. Before buying something, you think, do I actually need this? A small purchase doesn't seem important, but then you realize hundreds of small purchases become thousands of dollars over time. So you become more careful. You watch your spending. You become patient. You stop trying to look rich because you're focused on becoming financially secure. Your friends might buy something expensive. You might want it too. But then you look at your savings and think, maybe later. Not because you can't afford it, because you don't want to destroy years of progress for one moment. Then one day, your account reaches $25,000. $25,000. Now the number looks serious. You start imagining what $100,000 would look like, but there's still a huge gap, $75,000. So you keep going. Months become years. You get better at saving. Your income changes. Your expenses change. Life keeps happening. Some months are easy. Other months, everything goes wrong. Your car needs repairs. A family expense appears. Something breaks. And suddenly, you have to use some of the money you've saved. It hurts, but then you realize something important. This is exactly why you were saving. Your savings aren't there just to look impressive on a screen. They're there when life doesn't go according to plan. Halfway, $50,000. This is where the psychological game changes. Because now, you can actually see the finish line. You're halfway to $100,000. And for the first time, you believe you might actually do it. You start imagining the moment, the screenshot, the notification, the number appearing on the screen, $100,000. You think about what you'll do when you reach it. Maybe you'll celebrate. Maybe you'll take a vacation. Maybe you'll buy something you've wanted for years. Maybe you'll do absolutely nothing, but you keep going. Then you reach $90,000. And this is strangely stressful because you're so close. You can almost touch it. Every dollar suddenly feels important. $91,000, $92,000, $93,000, $94,000. The number keeps climbing. But then, life happens again. An unexpected expense takes a chunk out of your savings. You stare at the account and feel frustrated. You were so close. But then you remember, you didn't lose everything. You're still at $90,000. You're still years ahead of where you started. So you continue. Eventually, you reach $99,000. Now you're checking the account constantly. $99,100, $99,300, $99,500, $99,700, $99,900, and then one final deposit. You refresh the page. $100,000. There it is. You stare at it. For a few seconds, you don't move. You don't celebrate. You don't scream. You just look at the number because your brain needs time to understand it. You think about the first $100, the first $1,000, the nights you wanted to spend the money, the things you didn't buy, the weekends you stayed home, the times you said, maybe next time. All of those tiny decisions eventually became this $100,000. And then you notice something. You don't suddenly feel different. You're still you. Same room, same phone, same clothes, same problems. The world didn't change. Your bank account did. And that's when you realize you weren't actually chasing money. You were chasing a feeling, security, freedom, control. The feeling that one unexpected problem couldn't completely destroy you. And $100,000 gives you some of that. But it doesn't solve everything. Something else happens. You become protective of the money. Before, $500 might have seemed like spending money. Now, $500 is a number you've worked incredibly hard to save. You understand its value differently. You don't necessarily stop enjoying life. But you start thinking before making big decisions, because you've learned something most people discover much later. Making money is one thing, keeping it is another. Eventually, someone finds out, maybe a friend, maybe a family member. They hear that you've saved $100,000, and suddenly, people have opinions. Why don't you buy a better car? Why don't you move somewhere nicer? Why don't you travel? Why don't you spend some of it? And you understand something. Everyone has a different definition of being rich. For one person, $100,000 might mean a new car. For another, it might mean freedom from financial stress. For you, it might simply mean sleeping better at night. This is where something unexpected happens. After reaching $100,000, the goal changes. You no longer think, how do I get to $100,000? Now you think, how do I protect my future? The number becomes a foundation, not a finish line. You realize that $100,000 isn't the end of the story. It's the point where the story changes. And perhaps the biggest change isn't something you can see. It's what happens when something goes wrong. You lose income. A major expense appears. Something breaks. And instead of immediately panicking, you breathe. You have options. That doesn't mean everything is fine. It doesn't mean you're wealthy. It simply means you have some room to think. And sometimes, having room to think is worth more than anything you could buy. One night, you open your bank account again. $100,000. But this time, you don't see the number. You see the journey. The first $100. The first sacrifice. The first time you chose saving over spending. The months when progress felt painfully slow. The setbacks. The mistakes. The moments when you almost gave up. And suddenly, you understand. The $100,000 wasn't created by one giant decision. It was created by thousands of tiny ones. So, what do you feel after saving $100,000? Excited? Definitely. Proud? Probably. Relieved? Maybe more than anything, but perhaps the strongest feeling is peace. Because for years, you were trying to build something you couldn't see. Now you can. You built a safety net. You built discipline. You built options. And most importantly, you proved something to yourself. That you could choose a goal and keep working toward it long after the excitement disappeared. The strange thing is, when you finally reach $100,000, you realize the number was never the most valuable part. The most valuable thing was becoming the person capable of reaching it. Because $100,000 can disappear. Money can be spent. Markets can change. Life can change. But the discipline that helped you build it stays with you. And that's when you finally understand. You didn't spend years saving $100,000 just to become rich. You spent years learning how to control your money. So your money doesn't have to control you.